The day my husband won the gold medal, he died in a car accident along with young Zhani. When they died, their hands were tightly clasped together. When I opened his blood-stained phone, it was filled with photos of young Zhani. Though the compositions weren't perfect, they were overflowing with love everywhere. Netizens all said, "Lu Kai and his first love story is tragically beautiful and utterly captivating. Something to yearn for." At the funeral, I broke down crying. While I was in a dazed and confused state, I was stabbed to death by a criminal with a knife. When I opened my eyes again, I let him sever ties with his family and coldly watched as he lost his dreams due to his own mistakes. Later, he arrived in a wheelchair through the rain, pleading desperately, "Choo-choo. Don't leave me behind." 01. Congratulations to our gold medalist, Lu Kai. On television, my husband held the figure skating champions trophy. Standing on the podium and receiving the cheers of the nation, at this moment, I was overwhelmed with joy. His dream has finally come true. "Lu Kai, what has been the belief that has supported you all these years?" a reporter asked. Lu Kai took the microphone, his trembling hands revealing his nervousness. "Today, I want to thank someone here. When my family kept denying me, it was her who stayed by my side. It was her who gave me the motivation to keep going." My heart trembled, the reporter teased. "Oh, I heard Lu Kai married young, so the person you're talking about must be your wife." Lu Kai, however, did not respond to those words, his gaze filled with affection falling on the audience below. I was suspicious. The camera panned down to a familiar face. "Young Zhani, what is she doing here?" Before I could figure it out, I saw Lu Kai step off the stage and personally hang the medal around young Zhani's neck. My heart was churning with emotions. He had clearly said that once he won the medal, he would give it to the person he loved the most. At that time, I always thought he was talking about me. I gripped the wheelchair handles tightly, my eyes fixed on the two smiling faces on the TV, my breathing rapid. "Lu Kai, you really are something." I couldn't wait to confront him, but on my way to the airport, I received news that he had been in a car accident. He and young Zhani died on the spot. However, when I was sorting through Lu Kai's belongings, I discovered a phone that recorded his sweet love with young Zhani. Their love was overwhelming. While I seemed like the outsider, but clearly, I was Lu Kai's rightful wife. For a moment, my hands and feet turned ice cold. On the day of the funeral, I forced myself to stay strong and greet the guests. I didn't expose his relationship with young Zhani. In people's eyes, he was still the figure skating champion who deeply loved his wife. They mourned his passing, saying that heaven envies talent. And then a man inexplicably barged in. He pointed the knife at me, his eyes filled with hatred. "You deserve to die. If it weren't for you using the debt of saving a life to trap Lu Kai, those two lovers wouldn't have ended up dying together, and my sister wouldn't have died either." The intense pain in my abdomen left me unable to utter a single word in my defense. I fell to the ground, wronged and helpless. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself standing right outside Lu Kai's house. I looked down at my perfectly intact legs and instantly snapped back to reality. I turned around and disgustedly threw the pair of men's figure skates I was holding into the trash can. From behind the door, I could hear Lu Kai's father yelling and hitting him. "If you dare learn these useless things, I'll disown you as my son." "Get out," Lu Kai's father commanded. I sneered, the trace of pity I had felt for Lu Kai in my previous life completely gone from my eyes. In my past life, I had made a special trip to give Lu Kai the figure skating shoes he wanted most, hoping to put in a good word for him in front of his father, but at the time, he only felt humiliated, accusing me of deliberately trying to make a fool of him. Now, as he wished, I will no longer concern myself with his affairs. 02. The next day, at the figure skating training camp, I overheard my teammates whispering around me, and when I looked up, I saw Lu Kai walking into the training rink with his hand covering his face. The slap mark on his face was glaringly obvious. Even though he was trying his best to cover it, you could still catch a glimpse of it. It seems he was taught quite a lesson last night. This is the first time I've seen Lu Kai since my rebirth. He still has that arrogant look, with his team uniform hanging carelessly on him, adding a touch of wildness. When he sat down next to me, his gaze lingered for a moment before he turned his face away and stopped looking at me. I vaguely felt his attitude was a bit strange, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. During the theoretical class, I kept watching him until I noticed his gaze fixed intently on young Zhani. His eyes were filled with the joy of having regained something lost, even mixed with an indescribable excitement. At this moment, I understood, he had also been reborn. Great. I was just wondering how to seek justice for my past self, and his back, perhaps, even the heavens felt wronged on my behalf, giving me another chance to choose. I think, this time without my interference, he should see with his own eyes Yang Zhenyi's true nature and realize how foolish he was in his past life. Just as a provincial singles figure skating competition was opening for registration, the spots were limited. The team eliminated candidates based on their rankings. And Yang Zhenyi missed the chance to compete because her results were at the bottom. With reddened eyes, she blamed herself, saying, "Why, I worked so hard, yet I can't even participate in the competition." Her teammates didn't know how to comfort her either, and her friend Zheng Yang tearfully pleaded on her behalf, "Coach, could you make an exception? Zhenyi has really been working hard." The coach glanced helplessly at Yang Zhenyi and said, "Sorry, there are only so many spots available. You'll have to wait for the next opportunity." Yang Zhenyi was about to leave in tears when Lu Kai stopped her. "Wait," he spoke to me in an almost commanding tone. "Shen Chu, give your spot to Zhenyi." I rubbed my ears, thinking I must be hearing things. "What did you say?" Lu Kai said matter-of-factly. "Your figure skating skills have always been top-notch. This competition is nothing for you. Giving this opportunity to Zhenyi will give you more time to practice." Hearing this, my heart tightened painfully. I looked up and stared intently at the man I had desperately protected in my past life, as if I were seeing him for the first time. I thought that in this new life, he would at least feel some remorse towards me. But I was wrong. He is a heartless man to the core. He knew full well that figure skating was my dream, and that at this moment, I couldn't refuse any of his demands, yet he still did it. "Really, Lu Kai, you're so good to me." Yang Zhenyi looked up in pleasant surprise, watching the two of them so full of affection for each other. I smiled self-deprecatingly. One ordered me to give up my spot, the other completely ignored me. The person about to surrender the position, without even saying a word of thanks. You have to admit, they really are a perfect match. A scumbag paired with a cheap woman. This whole situation has really opened my eyes, but this time, they're bound to be disappointed, because no one is a fool. As Lu Kai led Yang Zhenyi to the coach to change their names, I spoke up coldly. "Wait, who said I agreed to give you the spot? What do you mean?" Lu Kai frowned. Under their astonished gazes, I stepped forward and snatched the pen right out of Lu Kai's hand. Then I signed my name on the competition registration form. "Now, do you understand?" 03. Lu Kai froze instantly. Yang Zhenyi's smile stiffened on her face, seemingly not expecting that the person who usually revolved around Lu Kai would refuse this time. Her friend Zheng Yang accused me. "Shen Chu, why can't you give way to Zhenyi? Are your teammates really that unimportant in your eyes? Are you pleased to see Zhenyi get eliminated?" As she spoke, she glanced at Lu Kai standing nearby, as if suddenly realizing something, and sneered, "Oh, I get it now. Could it be that you're jealous because Lu Kai only has eyes for Zhenyi?" Lu Kai frowned, understanding. "You want me to be your partner, don't you? As long as you agree to give the spot to Zhenyi, I'll agree to this." His eyes were full of arrogance, as if becoming my partner was beneath him. I wasn't about to indulge him and fired back directly. "Are you crazy? Do you really think you're such a catch? Who would want to be your partner, with your mediocre skills? You should take a look at yourself and see if you're even worthy. And Zheng Yang, since you care so much about Yang Zhenyi, why didn't you offer to give up your spot earlier? If you're willing to yield your place, I'm sure Yang Zhenyi would be very touched, right? Or, anyone present who is willing can step forward." Everyone took a step back. Clearly, when it came to their own interests, no one was willing. The looks directed at Yang Zhenyi gradually grew more complicated. Seeing this, Yang Zhenyi quickly played the victim. "I didn't mean to take anyone's spot. Sob." Lu Kai saw that I had made her cry and instantly turned cold. "Shen Chu, apologize to Zhenyi." I stepped forward and accurately punched Lu Kai in the abdomen. "Are you out of your mind? Even if I were to give this opportunity to someone else, I would never give it to certain useless idiots who can't do anything right." As soon as the words fell, a figure walked in through the door, seeing my movements. The corner of his lips curled up. "What's this?" Shen Tianzai, practicing drunken boxing. It was Chen Yang. His figure skating skills are on par with mine, and he is my arch-rival. Chen Yang leaned down and stared at me carefully for a while, then reached out and tugged at my cheek. I took a step back and said discontentedly, "I'm not the Monkey King. Are you trying to tell if I'm real or not?" Chen Yang put his hands in his pockets. "I just feel like you've changed somehow." I rolled my eyes at him. "How so?" Chen Yang leaned against the wall, his probing gaze fixed on my face. "You usually treasure Lu Kai the most, yet today you actually hit him. Isn't that strange? Who treats him like a treasure? That's disgusting." As I spoke, I rubbed the goosebumps on my arm. Thinking of the foolish things I did for Lu Kai in my past life, I turned around without a second thought and directly asked the coach to change partners. Wasn't he very reluctant to be my partner? This time, I'll grant his wish. "Even if you're angry with Lu Kai, you don't have to team up with me, do you? Haven't you always disliked me?" Chen Yang curiously leaned close to my ear. While changing my shoes, I took a moment to glance at him. "I don't dislike you, and your skills are decent. Certainly better than some deadweight who just drags everyone down." Once I had my skates on, I immediately reached out and put a hand on his shoulder. "Enough talk, let's start practicing." On the other side, Lu Kai was frequently distracted, and young Zheni made another mistake. Seeing that Lu Kai had been ignoring her, she directly threw up her hands and went on strike. The coach scolded with a cold face. "Some people don't have Shinchu's talent, nor do they put in the effort to practice. They can't even meet the professional standards of a figure skater. And you, Lu Kai, your individual skills are indeed strong. But don't forget, this competition is about pairs figure skating. Your team is very likely to be eliminated." I calmly spun around, continuing to practice the quadruple axel jump. After training, I ran into Lu Kai squatting at the entrance. As soon as I entered the neighborhood, there was a very clear slap mark on his face, and a shattered suitcase lay beside him. It looks like he was kicked out of the house by his father. In his previous life, his father had always wanted Lu Kai to study finance and never approved of his figure skating dream. At that time, I was very anxious and wanted to help him improve his skills to gain recognition, which is why I wanted him to be my partner. But now, I can only say he deserves it. I walked right past him to go home, but my wrist was grabbed tightly. 04. Lu Kai stared at me, his eyes filled with mockery. "Aren't you feeling quite pleased with yourself seeing me like this? Every time I'm in a sorry state, you always show up at just the right moment. What? Do you really enjoy looking down on me while handing out your charity? I'm telling you, no matter how much you try to please me, I will never like you." Listening to his arrogant and self-important remarks, I clenched my teeth tighter and tighter, thinking back to how well I treated him in my previous life, only for it to become the reason he blamed me. My anger surged instantly. I fiercely shook off his hand. "What kind of nonsense are you talking? You're average looking, yet so full of yourself. Take a look at yourself. What is there to like? You're at the bottom of the class. Mediocre in every way, and overconfident despite your looks." I pulled a small mirror out of my pocket and threw it at him. "Maybe you should take a look in the mirror." "Huh," hissed Tilda. The small mirror scraped Lu Kai's face, instantly leaving a fine blood mark. Looking at the cut on his face, I inexplicably felt a sense of relief. "But you're right. I do enjoy seeing you in such a sorry state. It's a pity that I'm no longer interested in you now. Even if I end up homeless in the future, I won't give you another glance. An ungrateful wretch like you will never deserve any sympathy." Lu Kai stared in shock. As if he couldn't believe these words had come from my mouth, I calmly turned and walked away, leaving him standing there in a daze. The next day, Chen Yang invited me to watch the amateur figure skating competition at Sun City Ice Rink, and I agreed. In the previous life, in order to make Lu Kai compromise, his father cut off all his expenses. At that time, he was working part-time delivering takeout in that area. The current Lu Kai was once held high at the top. I wonder if he can still swallow his pride this time when facing customers' complaints. The amateur competition hadn't even started yet, but Chen Yang took me to the food street to eat and drink. Seeing how familiar he was with the place, I felt surprised. I never expected that a young master like you would actually eat these things. Chen Yang took a sip of the milk tea in his hand and raised an eyebrow. "Then what do you think I should eat?" I thought for a moment. At the very least, it should be Tianshan snow lotus, deer antler, snow water. Chen Yang twitched the corner of his mouth. "You really have a vivid imagination. By the way, I heard the shop up ahead is a trendy internet famous spot. Let's go check it out." I glanced at the time and shook my head. No, the amateur competition is about to start. Chen Yang grabbed my wrist. Since we're already here, let's go take a look. The competition is about to start soon. It wasn't until I saw Lu Kai wearing a delivery uniform that I understood Chen Yang's real reason for bringing me here. Lu Kai had just finished delivering an order to the shop next door and was now squatting by the curb eating his dinner. Just then, a shirtless man suddenly rushed out holding a takeout bag. He showed the messy takeout to Lu Kai, his face full of displeasure. How am I supposed to eat this? The oil has spilled all over. You have to pay for it. Lu Kai frowned deeply. Not giving an inch in his words. This has nothing to do with me. I'm only responsible for delivery. If you have any problems, go find the boss yourself. Seeing that he didn't apologize and was even shirking responsibility with such self-righteousness, the shirtless man grew even angrier. With a sudden flip, he dumped all the takeout food right onto Lu Kai's head. "Pa, what a fucking asshole." The man spat on him, then walked away cursing. The vermicelli on Lu Kai's head was still steaming, and the broth trickled from his forehead into his collar. Perhaps it was too hot, as a large patch of his neck had turned red. 05, your childhood friend is really pitiful. Aren't you going to comfort him? Chen Yang probed. I watched Lu Kai's disheveled state from a distance with cold eyes and said in a deep voice, "He deserves it." It was clearly his fault, and not only did he refuse to apologize, but he also shifted the blame. Utterly irresponsible, as soon as the words left my mouth. Chen Yang looked up and saw me, his eyes filled with embarrassment and shame. Clearly, he had overheard everything I just said. "Let's go. Isn't watching the game better than watching the commotion?" Before leaving, I glanced at Lu Kai's tightly clenched fists. He wouldn't think I'm going to mock him, would he? To be honest, I'm really not interested. I thought this matter was over, but when I returned to the team, I found out someone had recorded what happened that night, made it into a GIF, and posted it on a website. Even the conversation at that time was recounted exactly the same. The comment section was filled with people blaming Lu Kai. Before long, everyone in the training camp knew that this delivery person was Lu Kai from our figure skating team. For a while, discussions were buzzing everywhere. "Aren't you supposed to be some rich kid? Why are you delivering food, usually acting all high and mighty? But look how pathetic you are in the picture." That's not even the main point. The main point is that I've always hated irresponsible delivery workers like this. So lousy. Chen Yang kept waving his phone in front of me, so I snatched it and exited the website. "Can you stop being so idle all day long?" He smiled and said, "I thought you'd want to know about Lu Kai. What kind of nobody is he? Don't even mention him in front of me. It's bad luck." Alright, I promise not to bring him up next time." As I turned my head, I suddenly met the gaze of Shu Miao, the team's gossip queen. Her eyes shifted between Chen Yang and me, and the sly smile on her face sent a chill down my spine. "You two have something going on." "Me? What nonsense are you talking about? We're just having a normal conversation as teammates." "Shu Miao, do you think I believe that?" I could tell from the very first day we joined the team that Chen Yang looked at you differently, with such tenderness in his eyes. "I don't care what you say. If you two end up together, you absolutely have to treat us to a meal." I reached up and rubbed my temples, feeling somewhat helpless about the situation. In my previous life, Chen Yang and I had been classmates all through high school and university. During that time, he never showed me the slightest bit of affection and even often gave me a hard time. Even now, thinking back on it still makes me shudder. I'm sure he would rather like a pig than like me. When I got tired from training and sat down to rest, Lu Kai took the initiative to come over. I can't even stand the sight of him now. It feels like it's dirtying my eyes. "Are you a dog? You just follow the scent and show up." Lu Kai's eyes were filled with rage, and he refused to back down. "You've achieved your goal, so you must be happy, right?" I didn't understand what he meant. I just thought he was out of his mind. "Can you stop biting everyone you see? If you're sick, go get treated early instead of acting crazy here." Lu Kai sneered, still pretending. "You were the one who posted that GF, weren't you? Shen Chu, you're as vicious as ever." I was speechless at the sudden false accusation. Before I could even open my mouth to refute it, he continued, "Come to the broadcast room and apologize to me right now." He accused me with full force, as if he was certain I was the culprit. I said in a low voice, "I didn't post the GIF. I don't have the time to target you every single day. You and Chen Yang were both there that night. You're the only one who could have done this." I couldn't help but laugh in frustration. You really know how to pick your targets, don't you? With so many people coming and going, you just had to fixate on me, shouldn't you? If you go to the broadcast room right now and clarify, I might let this slide, otherwise, before he could finish, I grabbed him by the hair and slapped him hard across the face twice. He looked completely dazed, and the symmetrical handprints on his face were quite satisfying to me. I'm warning you one more time. The sight of you makes me sick. Stay away from me normally, and don't come near me for no reason. 06. I took out a wet wipe and wiped my fingers with disgust, just about to head home. Lukai's voice sounded again. Shunchu, you've come back too, haven't you? I instantly stopped walking and turned my head to look at him. That's right, and you're only realizing it now. How incredibly foolish. After being married to me for so many years, you still have another woman on your mind. Lukai, you're really something. With someone like you in the national team, shouldn't we be burning incense in gratitude? A flicker of guilt crossed his face, and the imposing figure from just a moment ago seemed like nothing but my illusion. I covered my ears and suddenly spoke out. Alright, I can't be bothered to listen to any more nonsense. What happened in the past life is over. In this life, you'd better stay far away from me. I don't want to have anything to do with you anymore, understand? After saying that, I didn't bother to see his reaction and turned around to leave. In the days that followed, Lukai indeed didn't come to bother me. This is exactly what I wanted. Not being able to win a gold medal with my own hands in my previous life has always been my regret. In this life, I will practice hard, stay away from scumbags, and then join the national team. Day by day, time passed, and the holiday was approaching. But that pile of ice skates in the training camp still hadn't been sorted out. The coach called a few people to stay behind and oil the roller skates, and I was the chosen one. Chen Yang walked over and asked with a smile, "Do you need any help?" His smile seemed like gloating in my eyes, and I didn't expect him to help me at all. "You should leave quickly. Your home is so far away. Be careful not to miss the bus." I waved the oilcloth in my hand towards his face, watching his retreating figure. My memory blurred for a moment. I never thought that one day Chen Yang and I could become such a team. In our previous lives, we were always rivals on the field. After the skates are polished, they need to be stored together in the isolation room. Unfortunately, after everyone else finished their tasks, they all left, leaving only Lukai behind. I had no choice but to do the final cleanup work with him. We were just packing up our ice skates and about to leave when a familiar voice suddenly came from the locker room. "Did you see the GIF on the website? Ha 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 ha, it's so hilarious. I made it." Lukai froze instantly. He knew that voice all too well. It belonged to the person he had loved for 2 lifetimes. There were no other voices inside. She must have been on a phone call. Oh my, it's all because Lukai was always with Shunchu before. If those two became partners, what would I do? Now it's fine. Lukai has teamed up with me, and even if I'm not that great, with him around, I can at least manage to get a ranking. Don't worry, I love you the most. He's not even my backup option. I have to say, this live version of the drama is truly spectacular. After Lukai died in my previous life, many of my former classmates came to visit me. One of the female classmates talked to me about young Zhani. She subtly told me about the things young Zhani had done, and I was both shocked and confused. Now, I finally understand. Lukai was nothing more than a stepping stone for her to climb higher. Suddenly, I thought of the car accident in their previous life, where netizens mourned their relationship. Now that I think about it, it was just a simple accident. I looked at Lukai's shocked and furious expression, feeling nothing but satisfaction in my heart. After living through 2 lifetimes, I never expected he would turn out to be the biggest joke of all. Before I could even mock him, Lukai pushed open the dressing room door directly, and a scream came from inside. "Lukai, what are you doing here?" Young Zhani's panicked voice came through. "If I weren't here, how would I know you've been secretly treating me as a backup? I love you so much. And this is how you repay me?" "No, you misheard." Young Zhani's voice trembled slightly. "I think any man who encounters such a thing would probably lose his sanity. Lukai was no exception." "Ah, Lukai, how dare you hit me? I'll make you regret this sooner or later." Hearing the chaotic noises from inside, I sneered inwardly. "Lukai, oh Lukai, are you really that angry? The surprise young Zhani has in store for you is still to come." 07. I couldn't be bothered to keep watching their dog-eat-dog drama, so I turned around and left. Time flew by quickly, and this weekend my parents were planning to go on another picnic. I really didn't want to go because Lukai would be there too. Lukai and I are neighbors, and our families have agreed to go on picnics together whenever we have time. From childhood to now, no one has ever missed this leisure activity, so even though I really didn't want to, I still gave in under my parents' gaze. But I never expected some people to be so shameless. Even though they clearly know they've wronged me, they still have the nerve to cozy up to me. Choo-choo, you're here, let's go grill some meat together. As he spoke, Lukai reached out to hold my hand, but I immediately swatted it away. Get your chicken claws away from me. Disgusting. Lukai was taken aback, his brow slightly furrowed. Shunchu, I know I misunderstood you before, but there's no need for you to speak so harshly, after all. We're friends who grew up together. There's no need to make such a big deal out of it. I was so angry I laughed. If you can't stand my attitude, you can just stay away from me. There's no need to put on an act in front of our parents. Thinking about how he was kicked out of the house before, I said sarcastically, or are you afraid I'll tell your dad about this? So you're trying to seduce me on purpose? What? Worried about losing face? Hit the nail on the head. Lukai's expression turned somewhat unpleasant. The tone carried a hidden threat. You, don't push your luck, Shunchu. I know you still have feelings for me. Even if you're trying to get my attention, there's no need to keep acting this way. As long as you go back to your normal self, we can still be the best partners. In his eyes, the Shunchu who used to constantly fawn over him was the normal one, while the current Shunchu is just putting on an act. He simply doesn't believe that I would truly give up on him. It seems I've been too lenient with you, which is why you dare to act so self-righteously in front of me. Then I don't mind repeating myself. From now on, we have nothing to do with each other. Whatever you do is none of my business. Got it? Pinkhead Freak. Lukai's face instantly turned deathly pale. Pinkhead Freak was the nickname his schoolmates had given him based on that viral GIF. Every time someone calls him that, he gets so angry he jumps up and down. This time was no exception. Lukai suddenly raised his hand to hit me, but was stopped by his father who had just arrived. Lukai, how dare you? Father Lu looked at him with a stern expression. What did Choo-Choo do to you that you actually want to hit her? Uncle Lu and my dad are good friends, so he usually takes good care of me. But he is very strict with Lukai. If there's the slightest dissatisfaction, Uncle Lu will punish him. When he was a child, Lukai suffered countless beatings. I had a sudden inspiration and thought of a great way to deal with Lukai. While barbecuing, I casually brought up recent events at school. I spilled everything about how Lukai had slandered his teammates and embarrassed himself in front of the whole school. Lukai's father's face grew increasingly grim, while Lukai, who was fishing not far away, had no idea that a storm was about to hit. Sure enough, upon hearing my words, Mr. Lu couldn't even wait to get home and immediately called for Lukai. Lukai asked in confusion, Dad, what's wrong? Slap. Mr. Lu slapped him hard, stunning everyone. Lukai's right cheek was visibly swollen, and he stood frozen in place. Old Lu, if you have something to say it properly. Why hit the child? My father spoke up to mediate. Old Shun, don't interfere. Today I must teach this unfilial son a proper lesson. Father Lu raised his hand and jabbed Lukai's head hard, cursing furiously. I haven't kept an eye on you for a few days, and you're already out there embarrassing your father. How did I end up with such a useless son? 08. You said figure skating was your dream, and I gave you the chance to prove yourself. Is this the kind of surprise you give me? You don't have much skill, but you sure know how to cause trouble for me. And you even have the nerve to bully Choo-Choo. Lu's father completely humiliated Lukai in front of my parents. He criticized him as worthless in every way. Watching Lukai's pale face, I felt a secret satisfaction inside. I added fuel to the fire, saying, Uncle Lu, it's okay, I'm already used to it. After all, that girl is someone he likes. I can understand why he wants to protect her. Upon hearing my words, Dad Lu instantly flew into a rage, looking at Lukai with even more disdain. You like that kind of scheming girl? How pathetic. Did I raise you all these years just so you could be someone's backup option? Lukai spoke weakly. No, you'd better break up with that girl as soon as you get back. If I catch you tangled up with her again, don't blame me for making you leave the figure skating team for good. Lukai's father issued the final ultimatum. Between his girlfriend and his dream, Lu Kai could only choose one. What would he choose? Oh, that's right. You wronged Chu earlier. Apologized to her immediately. After saying so much, Dad Lu finally remembered me. Lu Kai gave me a complicated look and said in a low voice, "I'm sorry." I pretended not to hear and dug at my ears. Seeing this, Father Lu commanded Lu Kai, "Didn't you eat? Speak louder." "I'm sorry." Seeing Lu Kai's humiliated appearance, I felt completely satisfied. "All right, I forgive you." My dad, noticing the tense atmosphere, immediately pulled Mr. Lu to sit down. All right. Let the kids handle their own matters. We should just eat and drink as usual. Are you satisfied now?" Lu Kai walked over to me with a complicated expression. I rolled my eyes directly, walked around him, and went to the other side to grill corn, based on his personality from his previous life. If I didn't give him face like this, he wouldn't go looking for trouble. Who would have thought that? Not long after, he actually brought a skewer of grilled squid and placed it in my bowl. I have to say, in both this life and the last, this was the first time Lu Kai had taken the initiative to do something like this for me. I stared at the squid for a long time, my thoughts gradually drifting away. In my previous life, no matter how busy or tired I was, I would always prepare a meal and wait for Lu Kai to come home. While eating, he never once looked at me, let alone served me any food. He would always leave right after finishing his meal, without saying a single word. As if our home was nothing more than a hotel to him. I always thought it was because the team's training was too intense that he was so cold to me. It wasn't until I was sorting through his belongings and opened a folder named My Little Treasure that I realized just how naive I had been. Photos of young Zhani were neatly arranged in chronological order, and it was clear that each one had been taken with great care. When Lu Kai gave her the gold medal, although I was shocked, I wasn't too upset. Men, they always have a soft spot for the wildflowers outside. A little scolding is all it takes. But reality hit me hard. After 10 years of marriage, I never imagined that the person I had given my heart to never had a place for me in theirs from the very beginning. Even though I no longer love Lu Kai in this new life, whenever I think of these things, my heart still aches uncontrollably. After all, I ruined my legs for him and lost my dreams, in the end. It turns out that all of this was just me being overly sentimental. How ridiculous my life must be. Since you've already forgiven me, let's just consider the past as over. Lu Kai's voice pulled me back to reality. I irritably tossed the grilled squid aside and sneered, "Do you really think I've forgiven you? That was just to save face for the elders. Even the police need evidence to make an arrest. But you just pinned the blame on me with nothing but your words." Lu Kai opened his mouth but couldn't utter a single word. Seeing him in such a dejected state, I deliberately mocked him. "How does it feel to be betrayed by your beloved? I thought you two were so in love." "Turns out it was just wishful thinking," Lu Kai instinctively retorted. "No, Zhani does love me. She's already explained it to me." 09. There were thugs outside the school threatening her, and she said that just to protect me. Hearing his words, I froze for a moment, but understood in the next second. Indeed, every pot has a matching lid. Lu Kai's intelligence drops whenever he encounters anything related to young Zhani. He had clearly heard it with his own ears that day, yet he was still easily swayed by young Zhani. Since he doesn't care himself, I can't be bothered to say more. Then just enjoy yourself. During the cultural class, I was quite shocked to find Chen Yang sitting next to me again. "Did you choose the same elective course as me again this time? Isn't this too much of a coincidence?" Seeing the confusion in my eyes, Chen Yang took the initiative to pull a class schedule from his bag and showed it to me. I compared them, and it really was the same. He's been following me around these days, and I really thought he had a crush on me. I never expected it was all just me being overly sentimental. I smiled awkwardly and said, Why didn't you say so earlier? You made me overthink it." My voice grew softer. And Chen Yang didn't catch what I said. Suddenly, he leaned his ear closer. "What did you just say?" A wave of minty fragrance wafted over. It was from him. I couldn't help but twitch my nose slightly. It actually smelled quite pleasant, just as I was lost in my wild thoughts. Chen Yang suddenly turned his head and our eyes met. "I didn't catch what you just said. Could you repeat it?" I didn't react immediately and just stared blankly at his face. Chen Yang is really good looking. A tall nose bridge, deep-set eyes and eyebrows, clean and radiant skin. Even the mole on the tip of the nose is exceptionally charming. enjoying the view. A soft chuckle came, and I instinctively replied, "Good looking, even if they're good looking. You still need to pay attention to the occasion." When I came to my senses, I realized that all my classmates' eyes were fixed on me, and the professor on the podium was staring right at me. After class, I sat at my desk sighing and copying down today's homework. Chen Yang was resting his head on his hand, and the smile at the corner of his mouth was something I just couldn't ignore. "Enough already. If it weren't for you seducing me with your good looks, would I have been punished like this by the professor?" I slammed my pen on the desk and glared angrily at Chen Yang. "I'll ask you a question, and you answer seriously. I'll take care of this copying homework. How about that?" I looked at him suspiciously, feeling that he had some ill intentions. But thinking about the 50 copies, I immediately nodded. Chen Yang looked at me seriously and asked, "Do you really not like Lu Kai anymore?" That question was really poorly phrased. In my previous life, I was taken advantage of for so long. Now that I've been given a second chance, who would want to go back to the same old path? Besides, he's such a scumbag. I don't like it. But can you really let go of the bond you two shared since childhood? Chen Yang seemed a bit doubtful. I continued, "Everyone can misjudge others, but once they come to their senses, they never look back. For me now, Lu Kai is nothing more than a stumbling block on my life's path, but I've already stepped over him." After I finished speaking, Chen Yang directly took my pen and started copying for me, the smile on his lips completely unstoppable. "I don't understand, it's just copying homework. Why so happy?" The days passed quickly, and soon it was time for the school preliminary competition. This time, my partner became Chen Yang. When I saw the ice skates in my hand, I instantly remembered my previous life. While Lu Kai and I were performing a highly difficult spinning move, his ice skate malfunctioned, causing him to lose control of his direction and rush toward the barrier at an extremely high speed. At that moment, to protect him from harm, I used my body to shield him, which ultimately resulted in the paralysis of both my legs. At the time, everyone blamed Lu Kai, saying he was arrogant and overconfident. He failed to carefully check his ice skates before taking the ice, causing irreparable harm to his teammate. Originally, due to his serious mistake, he was not allowed to appear on the field again, but as the victim, I issued a letter of forgiveness for him. He was able to return to the competition, and at that time, I was genuinely happy for him. However, he didn't even come to see me once while I was in the hospital. I only thought he was too filled with guilt to face me. I gathered my thoughts and glanced at Lu Kai not far away, seeing the same pair of roller skates on his feet as in my previous life. I froze for a moment. Is he trying to get himself killed? Perhaps he wants to uncover the real culprit who harmed him in his previous life. The situation was exactly the same as in the previous life. Lu Kai's ice skates had a problem, seeing that he couldn't stop. Yang Zhenyi was so frightened that she immediately let go of his hand. Lu Kai was instantly shocked. Without his partner's help, no matter how skilled he was, he couldn't stop under the force of inertia. He instinctively looked at me and called out for help. This time, I remained indifferent to his plea for help. In the end, he crashed into the fence, his legs bent at an unnatural angle, and he fell unconscious. In this life, he ultimately became the disabled person he once described, unable to stand on the world stage ever again.